Welcome to Deeply Rooted Insight. I'm Roxy.
And I'm Dominique.
And this episode we're going to be talking about the suit of wands. Wands and fire.
Yes, absolutely. Do we have anything like from last episode or anything that we wanted to touch upon or?
So on the last episode on the Major Arcana, we did mention some cards being about women and some cards being about men. And we just want to acknowledge that we totally understand that there are more than two gender identities. The traditional imagery of the Rider-Waite deck is one, very binary, and two, very white.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll try to be more careful about referring to the cards as genderless, and then acknowledging that masculine and feminine energies can be applied to any human, anyone, anything. Just so no one feels excluded from the conversation.
And not only that, the energy is just about flow, right? So it does not matter if you identify as more female, it doesn't matter if you identify as more male. Gender is fluid in most senses, in most cases. So whenever we're referring back to the cards or what energy is supposed to be, we'll definitely be careful about making sure that we're not labeling anything one thing or the other that might make somebody feel uncomfortable or not included. We want everybody to feel included because magic is all inclusive.
Right. And also, tarot is for every race, even though the imagery of the traditional Rider-Waite deck does not include really anybody else for white people.
Nope.
That doesn't mean it has to be that way. Yeah. So that's an important little PSA. Anything else we need to mention?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. So, the wands.
The wands.
We got a fire sign here. An Aries lady.
Very, very Aries. And this is the thing, like meeting Roxy, I knew my sun sign, I guess, like everybody knows their sun sign, right? Like, oh, you must be an Aries if you're born on this time or this date or whatever. So I never really knew what the moon, the Venus, all of it, like your astrological charts and stuff. I had a friend who, tried to get me into that years ago. Sorry, Margaret. And I just never really paid attention to it. And the more Roxy and I started talking, and she was like, "Oh, you need to know your moon sign, your sun sign, your rising sign, all this." I'm like, "Okay, all right, I'll go." But it has actually helped me know myself more because I do feel like I'm a true Aries in some cases, but not in all cases. Mm-hmm. And when I did my chart and it was, sun sign was Aries, but my moon was Sagittarius, it was like double fire, which is kind of funny. And then, but then my moon was...
Your rising.
Yeah, the rising sign was actually a water sign, which totally makes sense about.
Wait, you're a Virgo rising.
Was it Virgo? Was it Virgo?
Yeah,
it was Virgo.
Rising.
It was a mistake because the last time I did it, it said Pisces, and that's where. Okay, so yeah, she's correct again, always. Yeah, Virgo. So yeah, lots of fire and
yeah,
makes sense because I get very testy very quick, and I don't air out a lot of those things. So sometimes that's like one of the issues with fire signs. We like to burn ourselves up and we like to burn each other whenever our temper is definitely projected outward.
Yeah, the temper is definitely a key characteristic of fire signs. I have all water signs in my big three. So I'm a Scorpio, Sun, a Pisces moon, and a Cancer rising. I'm very emotional. And I'm a Scorpio stellium. Stellium means that you have more than three placements in the same sign.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you have Aries all throughout, then you'd be an Aries stellium. So I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart and a lot of Sag. Whatever's not Scorpio is Sagittarius. So I have a lot of fire in my chart too. That's a weird combo. Emotional and angry. Ooh.
Yeah.
Crying and mad, that totally describes me.
Yeah, but sometimes, but even as a fire sign, like I feel like I have to be forced to cry sometimes. And that doesn't mean I'm a hard person. I'm a very soft-hearted person, but like when it comes to expressing, I'm not very good at it. Like I will have a conversation with somebody all day long. I'm an Aries. I like to talk. I like to talk a lot. But emotional stuff, I get very but if it's in the process of helping other people, I'm all for them. But if you want to turn the conversation, I'm like, Dominique, how are you feeling? I'm good. I'm good. I might might need to go cry about this later in the shower, but for right now, I'm good. Yeah. I don't. Maybe that's the Virgo part of it.
Maybe that's the Virgo.
I'm just like, no, I'm not going to talk about that tonight.
I love Virgos. I really do. Okay, so we're going to be getting into the suit of wands.
Which is why we bring up what signs we are, why we are talking about fire signs versus water signs, because every single suit has a connotation for what type of sign you are.
Yeah. So wands are the element of fire, which is then associated with fire signs. So what do we know about wands?
What do we know about wands?
Just like the characteristics of the suit of wands.
They have everything to do with emotions and very much wanting bigger picture stuff happening, especially creative stuff. That's definitely one of the things. And like horizon stuff. What's coming on the horizon? What is like my favorite card, my absolute favorite card, if I'm looking at the wands, my absolute favorite, I'll say favorites, because I have favorites.
We all do.
Four of Wands, because it's all about the completion of something creative and being able to celebrate with other like-minded creative people that maybe you were working or collaborating with. The Three of Wands, which is basically saying everything beyond the horizon is at your disposal. It's only up to you on when you take action on that thing and go get it. And then the Ace of Wands, because it's very much like all of the creative power is now in your hands. But ultimately, my favorite card above all else, because she is the Queen of Sunflowers and has everything at her disposal, is the Queen of Wands. I love her. She's a warrior, badass, creative, owns her element, owns her queendom type of card. So I love the Queen of Wands. She's yeah.
So I understand the wands to be the suit of emotions, passions.
Passions, yeah.
Because of course we're going to get emotional about things that we're passionate about. So that like cups are a little more on the like emotional side, but wands are right up there too. Passions, creativity, learning, mastery. Not just learning life lessons, but learning like career things, like studying, going to school, like being on that journey, graduation, mastery, like leveling up in that kind of way. Also mindset too.
Also, sensuality, sexuality.
Yeah, and sexuality.
That's like a huge thing for a lot of people, especially if you go to your tarot reader and you're asking questions about a relationship and you get a lot of wands, that's it's a very passionate reading. It's a very like chicka bow wow kind of reading, especially if it's nothing but good things, but like if you're fighting a lot, or if you're having it's that, what is that, you burn hot and then you make up, you burn hotter, that kind of dynamic.
I completely forgot to mention that. Yeah, sexuality, sensuality. Fire is all about self as well. So self-expression, identity. I wrote all of this down. Self-concept, self-image, manifestation.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, yeah, and then think about it, because even if you go back to the major arcana, the magician, literally over his head, he's holding a wand.
Yeah.
Wands.
It's the only thing he's holding.
It's the
actually,
only
his
thing
hand.
he's holding, yeah.
And wands also have to do with magic. So there's a lot. Oh, and workload management.
Oh gosh.
That's another thing with wands, because you are learning. You are on a journey towards something creative. Workload management is part of the wands too, letting you know when you're burnt out on something or about to get burnt out on something.
Yeah.
So if you think about before even digging into detail on what each card means, if you think about the dynamic of that with other suits, like for example, let's say you're doing a spread and you take your initial look and you see that there's mostly wands, but secondarily there's like also a lot of swords. Swords have to do with your brain chemistry, your mental health, problem solving, using logic to get through something, clearing the pathway, connecting your head and your heart. if you have a lot of swords with wands and you have to problem solve, you would also have to change your mindset. So wands could represent, in that case, unlearning something to change your mindset, because it's hard to solve a problem with the same mindset that caused it. So wands could also mean unlearning something in order to work towards healing.
Oh, absolutely. So in the past, when I've done readings for people, and even when I do readings now, if I happen to have somebody who gets nothing but swords and wands, it's literally a battle between head and heart. Like, what are they doing that's holding them back emotionally? What are they doing that's holding them back mentally? And can those two things work together to change the outcome? Or is there a lot of gymnastics that need to go into place to make sure that any change can happen? Because some people are so set in their ways, like mentally, that there's no changing them. And we've run into people like that, individuals, even without being a tarot reader. How many times have we run into somebody where like, oh, they're just so set in their ways? Well, mentally, yeah, they're in that mindset where nothing is going to work out. Everything sucks. Everything, and it's just this downfall of, they will never get out of that cycle. And then if you have wands, there are other things at play trying to get their attention, trying to get them to unlearn so that they can rebalance, revisit, relearn. And so those types of dynamics, when it's like the head and the heart trying to battle against each other, the question then I think as the reader would be, what would work together to create the positive change that needs to happen? And as a reader, what can I do to guide this person along that path? Like, what light can I shine on it for them? So yeah, I totally agree about the whole mindset thing. I think that's great. Yeah.
Unlearning, undoing patterns, establishing new, better patterns for yourself. A lot of movement with wands too. There's no stagnation in any of these cards. There's like movement and then even faster movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so questions that might arise when you get a lot of wands. What may be dampening your inner flame?
Yeah. And most of the time it's emotional stuff, because like I said, people are set in their ways, and maybe they've learned through traumatic experiences, through patterns that they refuse to break on their own, through patterns that they have established will never change in someone else, so they don't ask them to, they don't communicate. And those are the things that, like, inner flame stuff, oh yeah. What's more of a personal flame killer than constantly being told no, even by the people you love? Or feeling that no matter what you do, you're not being heard. You stop talking. You stop communicating. And those are the things I think would dampen anybody's inner flame, because what's the point of keeping that flame alive if every single time you try, you're bumping up against the same outcome anyway. But yeah, inner flame stuff for sure.
And this is also the suit of expansion. So if you're learning, you're growing, you're expanding in some way. And I feel like this suit also asks you, in what way would you like your life to expand?
Oh, absolutely. Look at how many horizon, visuals are on these cards. And we will get into the whole visualization of the cards too, because we've kind of delved into the whole, like, why certain suits have more of something in the background than others, why there's visuals in there that indicate that there is something that needs to have something brought to light, or there is light shining on it already, but are you recognizing it?
Also, how are you choosing to honor the boundaries you have set? Because there's a lot of kind of defensive cards here too. Like if you look at the 5, if you look at the 7 and the 9, and even the 10, they're all taking kind of like a defensive stance, defending something. Do you actually need to defend yourself so hard? Can those defenses be loosened? Do you even need to do that? How are you honoring your boundaries? Are you doing too much? Are you not doing enough? What do you think?
I think I've always taken a different perspective when it comes to the way that defenses need to be built. And I think the only 2 cards that I have come across where it feels like boundaries are not being protected, I guess, in a way, or you feel like you need to defend something, is the 5 and 7 of Wands. Because the 5 of Wands is play acting. You know, there's a whole bunch of people in the field, they all got their wands together, and it's all like, you know, kids playing on the playground kind of thing. And it's almost like practicing for adulthood kind of thing. You know, like when you grow up and you're, you know, better suited to fight these battles and all of these things, like, are you preparing for the things that are to come, or are you preparing yourself for things that you don't need to prepare for because you're just paranoid and you just think you have to do these things? But then you come to the 7 of Wands, and the 7 of Wands typically has a person standing on a hill fending off an attack by unknown assailants. You just see the tip of their wands. So for that one, I take that as you are fighting a battle on all sides, but you don't know who your enemies are because they're faceless on the card. You don't know, you know, you can't tell. And are they actually outside enemies, or are they inner demons that you're battling as well? Because everybody has emotional demons. Everybody has something that's going to kick off some insecurity. But wherever it falls in the reading, the context is clear when you have all the other cards around it. Like, what exactly is it that you're battling right now? And the 9 of Wands, it's not a defense card. It's almost like, I survived the battle. I'm wounded. I am bandaged up, but what a battle I fought, you know? And it's not done yet, because obviously the ones behind the person in the card, they're all stacked up and ready for another battle. But then you come to the 10 of Wands and they're all collected and being carried off, because it's a completion card. You have come to the end of this thing now. You don't have to, you can put down your burden. You are no longer going to be responsible for the burden that was before. So yes to the defense card on the 5 and the 7, but I think the 9 and the 10 are all about like that completion of the cycle.
Right. I think with the 9, there's also this element of like, I've come to this spot where I'm ready to harvest, but also maybe an underlying paranoia of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Oh, absolutely.
Waiting for someone to steal your thunder. Is someone going to come and outshine me or take this away from me?
No, that's exactly how I feel about the 9 of 10. You know, 9 of 10s, the 9 of Wands, because you fought this battle, you're bandaged, you're bruised, and you're just waiting for the next one.
Yeah.
But do you have to, though? Like, so it's that dynamic of, are you prepared for the next battle, really? And are you prepared for the right battle? Right.
Or is there even a battle coming? Are you just paranoid?
Yeah, but context is everything. So if you get a whole bunch of different cards, like, that'll totally explain where the next battle's coming, or you're just being super paranoid and you need to chill your roll a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start from... I'm going to start from the ace and then do these guys?
Yeah.
All right. So one by one, we're going to start with the Ace of Wands. If you can't tell already, we both have differing interpretations of the cards. Very fire sign, very water sign. So we're going to start with the Ace. Oh, there's the focus. We're using, what deck do you have?
I have the Rider-Waite, the original Rider-Waite. Oh my gosh.
What?
I just, literally, that just happened on camera.
No!
I literally just pulled that out of nowhere, middle of the deck.
Oh my gosh.
Don't tell me I'm not a seasoned tarot reading, y'all. Look at, I just pulled that from the middle of the deck. No strings, and I just dropped my microphone again. Yeah, no strings, nothing attached. I literally just picked that up and I flashed the camera with it before anything else happened. So it looked reversed when I first picked it up, but that was legit a draw. And you can always tell a seasoned tarot reader whenever they are like, oh, that card, yeah, let me get that. Oh, look, I already pulled it.
That's so interesting. So she's using the traditional Rider-Waite deck and I'm using the Modern Witch, because there's she's and he's and theys and thems and people of color, and I need that. I need that in my tarot decks. You need to see images that kind of look like me.
Representation is super important.
Yes. All right, so starting with the Ace of Wands. Even Spirit is saying yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm sorry, that was a little.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Okay, so right there. All right, so what do you understand the Ace of Wands to be?
Oh man. Okay, so if I were to pull cards for a reading and somebody just comes to me for a general reading, I would say pulling this card says everything about new beginnings, but creative new beginnings. This would be your ability to sit there and say, yeah, now's my time. I'm going to jump on it and I'm going to move myself from whatever position I was before, whether it was stagnated, stuck, feeling like you didn't have a direction. This is definitely like your Gandalf moment, right? You stick that staff in the ground and you're like, you shall now pass, and it's time to move. It's time to go. And to trust your intuition that your creativity is going to carry you forward, because it's all about that. It's about that spark and lighting that fire. So absolutely, that is where I take that from.
Yeah, pretty much same. A spark of creativity and passion. And also we did a deep dive on what clouds mean in the cards. Every ace has clouds, and we saw one interpretation of clouds, specifically fluffy white clouds, being like divine support.
Yeah, and every single ace has fluffy white clouds in it.
Every single one.
So divine support on whatever your endeavor is, whatever your path is, and whatever the message that comes out in the reading as a whole, you are divinely supported and it's not being asked, it's being voluntold that you are on your way, so get your butt moving.
Yeah. Clouds also imply that there's something hidden that you don't know, but you're also being divinely supported. Like, you don't have to know all the answers, just move forward. Yeah. And then we have the Two of Wands. Not gonna focus with side. So what do we know about the Two?
The Two is such an interesting card because in your deck, it's, you've got this very in command presented person standing there holding a staff in one hand. They have another staff behind them, but clear water, clear skies in front of them, and they are just pretty much ready to rock it. The twos and all the other suits are always about balance and duality. And can you make that choice? Can you make the decision to finally move forward? And I think the Two of Wands in this case, because it's a fire sign, because it's a card of opportunity, it's basically saying like, you have so much opportunity in front of you. Whichever choice you make is going to work out. So it doesn't matter. Choose something, but don't stay here in the decision point too long, because whatever you're going to do is going to work.
Yeah. I think there's also an invitation there to use that brief time wisely before making a decision to examine, how do I want to expand? That's where that question comes up. How do I want to expand my life? How do I want to share my creative offering with the world? But don't be the forever student that just stays in that space.
No, and the great thing about it too, it's, the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands kind of both embody the whole, there's water, there's open skies, there's them looking off into the horizon. So it's very much of a travel card as well. I have the world at my fingertips. I can choose whatever direction I want to go and focus my energy in those directions that I choose to go. So what do we do best when we're on travel? We learn. We learn about different people. We learn about different places. I can't tell you how many times I have traveled to different countries and come away a wiser, deeper, knowing person, entity, spirit, whatever, because I've connected with people regardless of where I'm at. And I don't ever go into a place thinking like I'm just going to be the ultimate tourist and just, sit on the sidelines and just watch everything. No, I talk to people. I talk to locals. I'll try to learn a little bit of the language so I can talk to people. And I know that people who are adventurous and love to travel, they're more likely to feel the same because they're more open-minded.
Right.
So I think that's not just a travel and opportunity card. I think it's a have an open mind as you step forward kind of card as well.
Right. Because every time you do travel and you do connect with other people outside of yourself and expand your capacity to be curious.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You expand a little bit of yourself. You unlock more parts of yourself as you connect with others and leave your bubble.
And and then the thing is too, it's like every time anybody who's listening to this, if you've ever been someplace and you've taken that step to have a conversation with people, there is so much magic that happens just by having a conversation. I've been in places where I was in the most mundane place. You know, I'm on the metro in Paris, and I'm just like, oh, you know, we're gonna go to the Louvre, we're gonna go do these things, and I've got my, you know, my tour booklet in my hand, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go do these things, and I've got it all mapped out. And one conversation on the metro with somebody who's sitting next to me going, oh, are you visiting from America? Where are you hoping to go? And then they'll throw out a suggestion, and I'm like, okay, my plans are done now. Where are you suggesting? Let's go do that. You know, so lots of times that's happened. And I've had people literally offer to be my travel guides simply because they started the conversation and I continued it, or I asked a question and they offered all of this knowledge. So what I love about the 2 and the 3 of this suit is that it's like, ask questions, be curious, go forth and see things, manifest those things that you did not even dream about, and watch how magic just opens for you and you get all these opportunities and people will be put in front of you to show you these things.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right, so next we have the 3 of Wands. So we have someone standing at the bank of a river or the beach of a lake.
I like to call it the precipice.
The precipice of a body of water.
Yes.
And there's some hills in the background. There's like a sunset type sky, golden hour sky, and they're holding a wand, and there's wands on either side of them. One wand on either side.
But there's also boats in the water.
There's boats
Sailboats.
in the water. Yep.
Whichever the wind shall sail you, that is the direction you will go. But the 3 is also a completion card. And it's also an invitation to level up. Because you've done so much where you're at, but now is the opportunity to go forth and do more.
Right.
And that's why I said I love the 2 and the 3, because it's all about expansion and what else can you learn. And when you level up, you literally help others learn around you.
Right. Leveling up with wisdom from your previous phase.
Oh yeah, it's what do you call it? Level up. It's like a video game, right? It's like you learn all the ins and outs and all the hidden little Easter egg stuff by all the little things and all the side quests you do, and then you get to the 3 and you're like, all right, what now? And then it's like, wait, in the last level we did this thing. Let's try it out this time, you know?
Right. And it's not a brand new clean slate kind of thing. It's moving to the next phase, having learned something from the past.
Building blocks.
Yes.
You are learning to Tetris at that point at a level 47. I don't know what that means, so I just thought I'd say it.
Let's see what I have written down. Oh, seeing things from an elevated perspective.
The leveling up, the building blocks, standing at a higher level of it and going, all of these things I have conquered. Now I must move to the next level and fight the big boss, whichever the big boss is in your world.
Yeah, it could also imply higher education.
Oh gosh, yeah. But higher education could mean so many different things. Yes. College education, it could mean a spiritual journey because you've decided that you're sick of your own shit and you need to level yourself up. That's higher education as well, in a spiritual sense.
From a more advanced level, leveling up all the levels.
No, but I get what you're saying. It's a higher level of understanding that you're then trying to get even higher on. It's it's going from the apprentice to the sword maker to the knight. It's like you are constantly at the level of, okay, I've learned this thing, I've mastered it, now time to move on. And what do knights want to do? They want to protect the realm. They want to, fight for the lady and win her, favor or whatever.
It'd be like you going back to school to advance to the next thing. Like when you talk about your residency stuff, it's like the teacher is now the student.
Yeah. Except in my version of that, I have 2 master's degrees because obviously I'm an overachiever fire sign and almost signed up for a 3rd master's degree this last month. I'm not even gonna lie. I put it on hold just because I feel maxed out right now at the teaching level as it is. So, but the last master's degree I got was in creative writing because I felt compelled to tell stories, and through doing that was like the most expensive version of therapy I've ever been through, but it was the best though. And I don't even regret it because I don't have anything published, but I also haven't been working at it. I don't have anything that I can say that, hey, I almost, finished half a novel while I was in there. Didn't do that either. Wrote a lot of short stories, wrote a lot of self-reflective pieces that were, hey, this is my life at the moment and this is how I'm choosing to tell it. I never once got a bad review from any of my mentors, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. My friends loved it and they're constantly asking me for more stuff and you need to get back on the horse and all that stuff. But if I were to level up, there would definitely be like, I would go back to school for that exact same thing again, but I would take it way more seriously about how to publish, how to get to the point where I'm ready to publish. Because a lot of my classmates have already gotten to the point. They finished a book, they've submitted it, they've been published, one of them even sold the movie rights recently to Netflix. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, that was one of my classmates. And I'm over here like, cool, man. I'm proud of them because I know I'm not in the same space as them. I know I'm not on the same level, so I've leveled up in a whole bunch of other different ways. And for those I am proud of. Mm-hmm. I've got my life together in other ways that I didn't have before. For that, I'm proud of. But the writing part of that, I just haven't done that yet. So if I were to go back to school, it would be to go back and take writing seriously. But I think my life has gone off into a different direction and I'm happier with that. So writing will take a backseat for now. But as far as leveling up or anything, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Plus I love doing this so much anyway.
I mean, this is something to be proud of too.
Oh no, of course. I can't, yeah. And it makes me feel good knowing that I still get messages from people about readings I gave them months ago. And they're just like, oh, hey, that reading you gave me. And that's the thing, I have a reader's memory. I remember every person I've read for, and I remember every reading that I gave them. So when people come back and they're checking in with me and I'm like, oh, hey, well, how about that other thing? How did that work out? Mm-hmm. And they're like, I can't believe you remember that. I do, because I remember everybody's energy and I remember every thought and feeling that went into the guidance that I gave them during that reading. Mm-hmm. So I think in that sense, I've leveled up in that area because I do remember them. I do concentrate on them. I do think about them and I do hope that they're doing well, and that everything has worked out for them. So yeah, this is important. I love this. This is good work. This is good work.
All right, now we have the 4, which is one of your favorites. Foundation building. The foundation has been built, so you've established something that you're proud of. And allowing yourself to rest and relax and make yourself available for the experience of deep joy.
Oh, yeah.
You've done it. Sit back. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Gaze upon what you've built.
Well, the good thing about the 4 of Wands, and this is coming also from the Aries who loves the Wands suit. It's all about partying, right? It's all about being at the party and being like, yeah, I'm the reason for this party. Sit back, enjoy it. It's fun. It'll be fun.
Very fire sign energy.
Yeah. So what's really great about the 4 though, it's also a passion completion, almost like passion project completion too, because whether that's a relationship, yeah, that's a marriage. Whether it's school, yeah, that's a graduation celebration. Whether it's moving up to the next level of something and getting a promotion and then being able to sit back and relax into that mode of saying, I did that thing, and now I can sit back and, enjoy it. And the last couple of times that I've done readings for myself, my own message to myself, and I'm going to roll my eyes on this one because this is so me as well, is that I always get the what you're forgetting position is the 4 of Wands. I forget to celebrate the little things along the way because I'm so focused on getting to the next thing. Well, that's done. Okay, so now put that away. Let's move on to the next thing. And without celebrating it, then it's almost like it becomes tainted then. It's like, okay, I worked so hard to get this thing, so why am I not stopping to say thank you? I do say thank you. I'm very grateful. I always light my candles to thank you, universe. I really appreciate that. But I don't think I celebrate it long enough before I'm diving into the next thing. And that's my own workaholic issue. I need to get better about that. I need to celebrate the small things. And I definitely need to remember to rest because I don't do that often enough either. So that's why it's one of my favorite cards, because it reminds me, even the smallest of celebrations can push you forward to the next thing that you want to accomplish. Because the more you celebrate, the more you're grateful, the more good things you put out to the universe for the things you have, the more thankful and the more positive is going to come back to you. So that's why it's one of my favorites.
With any journey that you're on, if there's not celebration, then how do you learn to appreciate where you are?
That is a good question, and I think I'm going to have to write that in my journal tonight when I talk about why are you not celebrating, Dominic? Why are you so focused on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? I think I'm happier when I'm in motion, and I'm happier when I'm getting things done. So when it finally comes to fruition and it's done, I revel in the fact that it's done, and then I can start something else. I think that's where my celebration comes in, maybe.
Yeah. Celebration is such an important part of, one, accomplishing something or healing something, too. Learning something new, knowing that you've mastered something and you can move on to the next level. It's important to pause for a minute and celebrate that. Even if you're celebrating by yourself. Even if it's just a moment of self-care and that's your celebration. Taking a bubble bath or having some ice cream or something.
A face mask would be nice every now and then. I will do the face mask celebration.
All right, now the 5 of Wands. Got a battle going on here. All right, so we kind of differ a little bit, just a little bit, on how to interpret this card. But like we said in the last episode, like when people come to you for a reading, and you're going to interpret how you need to interpret for them.
Based on the energy of the person, based on the situation, and the context of the other cards.
The context of the cards, yes. I think I tend to take the, what